Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 62 of Beyond the Double Red Doors. So funny, I get that volume down to like 5%, and yet the VU meters are still really high. Is that fascinating, or is that not fascinating? I hope everyone's doing well, or as well as can be expected. Thought I might open up this evening's podcast with a short little poem. One of my favorites. I may have read it on stream before. I probably have. I tend to repeat myself quite a bit. But what the fuck? I don't care. Loud. Loud? Katerina? My voice is too loud? Is that what I'm hearing? Just back off the mic a bit. Usually I'm too soft. Anyway, here's this poem. I think you'll like it. I think it'll get us all in a great mood. It's called Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. And it's a real crowd pleaser. Want to hear it? Here it goes. Bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through sludge, till on the haunting flares we turned our backs, and towards the distant rest began to trudge. Men marched asleep, many had lost their boots, but limped on, bloodshot. All went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly from behind. Gas, quick boys, an ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time, but someone still is yelling out and stumbling, and floundering like a man in fire or lime. Dim through the misty panes of green, thick green light, as under a green sea I saw him drowning. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If in some smothering dreams you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in, and watch the white eyes writhing on his hanging face like a devil sick of sin. If you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues. My friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, dulce et decorum est, pro patria mori. And now the party can start. A lot going on. Oh, Maddie. It's good to see you. You're usually asleep by now, or shortly after now. Isn't it, though? Yeah, and Wilfred Owen's life is depressingly beautiful, certainly tragic. I'm not 100% sure, but I think all his poems were written in about a year before he was killed at the age of 20 or 21. Certainly no more than 21. Fighting a colonizing war. He didn't have Elon Musk sending him Starlink back then. But yeah, it's a beautiful poem. Is it like Providence that makes it so haunting? Is it the fact that he died? No, I don't think so. I think if that were written by like an angst-filled teen, it would still have the majority of the power that it has today. Don't make me start. You're gonna make me start looking for other examples like that. I shan't. I've got The Last Messiah pulled up here, but I almost always have The Last Messiah pulled up. So it's not really anything new, is it? What is this? Let me say hi to everybody real quick. Yeah, I didn't advertise anything, and it's been a week. I had a week off last week, as you all know. It wasn't really a week off, but a week where I didn't stream. Things happen, so, gotta adjust. And I didn't send anything out because, frankly, like, I don't have a whole lot, which I over the weekend, I was like, oh, okay, I am going to sort of bear down, read a bunch of shit, figure out what my thoughts are, because they vacillate, as you all know. I wanted to figure out what my thoughts are concerning the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. Which to some, it's a very simple. It's not simple. It's not simple to anybody. Seemed to be pretty simple to Joe Biden in the State of the Union last night. Seemed pretty clear cut to him. Didn't seem like there was any room for nuance there. But of course not. He was chest pounding. That was okay, great. Now I'm getting agitated thinking about recalling watching the State of the Union last night. There were some good parts. There were some parts that, let me say hi to everybody first. Sorry. Hi, Amy. Hi, Pavi. Hi, KJ. Hi, Q. I hear music. I'm not sure what's going on. The title of the stream is just a line from the first paragraph of Notes from Underground. I am a sick man. I am a spiteful man. I believe my liver is diseased. Evocative, right? Doesn't really mean anything. Certainly nothing pertinent, nothing that's going on right now, except that, like, maybe, to some extent, we're all diseased. I'm going to break this rule right out of the gate. Breaking this rule right out of the gate. Because I just can't help myself. I can't stop myself from doing it. And maybe there's something wrong with me. Or maybe I actually like Jordan Peterson. I don't know. Like, maybe I'm suppressing some sort of, like, maybe I'm just jealous. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out. But man, there's one way to clickbait me, like, for sure, every time. You want to clickbait me, you put Jordan Peterson in a thumbnail, and I'll just put a couple of words in all caps that are like, destroyed or, eviscerates or whatever it is. And I'm going to be like, okay, let's see what the fuck they're talking about here. And it's always the same shit. It's always the exact same shit. He talks about his clinical experience. He relies on his clinical. He relies on arguments wherein you cannot refute them, because it's his clinical experience, and you don't have that 20 plus years of clinical experience. So his data set is trumps yours. There's nothing you can do. I'm working on it. So there goes one bingo card. I got another one coming up here after I say hi to everybody. Hey, Elxie. It's good to see you. And Katerina, of course. I'm not sure what you're saying loud to a new 742. I do have my mic going through my preamps. This will be fascinating for everybody. Going through my music preamps because I was recording stuff. Not my regular preamps. Now, the music preamps are slightly softer, but they have this thing. They have like an auto speech treble booster that it calls air, which I really like what it does to my voice. Gives it may be a little piercing. It may make the S's a little harsh, but whatever. I've got it very loud in my ears. If I can take it, y'all can take it. Why are these lights yellow? They should be. They are green. Oh, that is my light making green look yellow. Let's see who else. Lisa Shobana, hi, it's good to see you. It's been a bit. Oh, let me put the... By the way, anybody wants to talk tonight about what's going on in the world, please text in. But do it early. Like a lot of times I will get messages like right when I'm very tired of talking. And then I feel bad. I wanted to talk to Václav 2 weeks ago. I have no idea. I hope he's. I'm sure he's okay. He's in Russia. Hope he is mentally okay. Would love to hear from him. I want to hear that perspective. I want to kind of call out like the people we know, right? The people that you and I know, people who are here now. Most of you know Ms., who is, if I'm not mistaken, is currently in a bomb shelter in the Ukraine. Where they're basically they're not able to get food, which is terrible. And Arabisadora, right, who did this little thing right here and does like incredible art for lots of people, who lives near Moscow and is Russian and is completely disgusted by the actions of what is happening. And you see the reports of people throwing rocks into like Russian bodegas in New York and all this kind of stuff. And it's just, man, imagine helicopter. Imagine like this is the horror, right? Is like 3 years ago. Can you imagine being judged? Just imagine if you're a U.S. citizen being judged by the actions of our little arms folded man-child. Look at. I know we've looked at this picture before. This is from the G7 in like, what is it, like 2019 or 2020. Look at the body language there of Angela Merkel. Do I like Angela Merkel? I don't know I don't even know if I like Angela Merkel. She seems okay, right? But look at that. Look at those little beady eyes and a little. I don't like the G7. America's footing too much of the bill. But imagine, like, if that's what you're represented by, right? Like, that's how people see you. That's the lens through which they judge your character as the figurehead doing all this fucking stupid shit. And it goes beyond that, right? So if anyone has like any idea of how Ms. is doing, I would love to know. That would be great. God will. I don't know you, but hello. Karan, I think I said hi to you already. Kitty Cat, how are you doing? Kitty Cat, you like Elon Musk, don't you? Try not to hold that against you. I mean, Elon Musk is he's certainly there's no shortage of people who seem to be like heading out and trying to grab a piece of the glory pie for doing something heroic, all inspired by Zelensky, who came out of right field, right? And or left field. Definitely left field. Who would have thunk it? The comedian turned politician whom a few short years ago Trump was trying to get compromat on Hunter Biden from. For those of you who forgot, like I know I have this somewhere. Yes, Zelensky's the dude who Trump had that little sheet of paper that he wrote with a big fat Sharpie, the Morrissey lyrics. I want nothing. I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. Tell Zelensky, and then you can't see what is underneath that. So it was Okay, I have a question here from Godwill. Sorry that it's out of place. You have such a variety of videos that it seems like you know everything. So I've been wanting to ask you for a long time who you work for, what kind of education you have. Right, yes, right. But everybody forgets the first part, right? It's just comedian turned president. But hold on, somebody is like saying nice things about me, so I gotta address this. Variety of videos. I'm not sure. Hold on. This is annoying me. Let me fix this. Can't fix it. At least I can't fix it now. I have a dangerous. I'm gonna try and be. I'm gonna try and like be honest here. I'm gonna try and not be too humble, and also not make sure my reach does not outstretch my grasp, or what, vice versa. Oh, hi, Lexi. I'm a dilettante, and if you're a dilettante, and I think if you're a dilettante, like really, I think what it comes down to is like, if you look like me, and you read a fair amount when you were young, so your vocabulary is okay, and you're a dilettante, people think you're smarter than you are. Like that's kind of been the story of my life. I've been put in, in school I was put in advanced placement classes and failed them over and over again. It was really just like on paper, it seems like this person should be smart. Why are they sucking so much? So yeah, I would take issue with that. I think I'm, especially in this group here, I'm probably in the lower half intellectually. And let's not conflate intelligence with what we know. It's how we think, right? I would say I'm in the lower half here, but I'm also, I'm late 40s. So there's a fair amount of things that I just kind of lived through and accumulated knowledge, which is also accumulated clogging of my synapses and a slowing of their firing. But amphetamines are really good for that. They get everything going full force. But that was very nice. So who do I work for? What education do I have? I went to school. I went to the University of Miami for biology. That was my intended course, was to become a medical doctor like my old man. Didn't happen. Couldn't hack it. Didn't have the discipline. I don't think doctors are particularly smart. I don't think you have to be particularly smart to become a doctor or a lawyer. I just think you have to be diligent, conscientious, and you generally have to have money. Right? Not always, but generally. So I went into game development immediately after, or actually while I was still in college. Like that's kind of what derailed my college, was getting into game development. Went into game development for a long time, lived with the dismal state of game development, which is, misogynist. No workers' rights at all. Even the idea, like even floating that idea would be enough to get you fired. There are like a half dozen major game developers in North America, and yet almost every university in North America also provides a game design course or set of courses or even degree. So there's a large supply-demand imbalance, and you're stuck basically working a job where there's a bunch of people waiting to take your place. So you just kind of deal with it. And I kind of thought I was stuck there, even though I hated it. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. There were things about it that really upset me and made me dissatisfied. I enjoyed when games would ship. And I'm especially enjoying now, because it's been a while since, when I started working on games, some of the games that I worked on were kids' games. And now a lot of those kids have grown up and they have good memories of playing those games, even if those games weren't actually very good, because they're not actually enjoying the memory of the game. They're enjoying the memory of the time and the things that were happening around the time they played that game. They associate the game with that period in their life. It's the same problem you get when you try and recapture your first love. You're not after that person anymore. You are after the feelings you had when you were, let's say, 18. Just to keep it safe. Let's say my first love was when I was 18. So there's a lot of nostalgia for some of the games that I'd worked on, which is kind of cool to watch. And I do occasionally look at playthroughs of them. And the thing is, empirically, the games are just not very good. Which is not to say I didn't work on some good games. I think I worked on a couple of good games. But I worked on 50 or 60 games, and maybe 5 of them were good games, maybe 6, maybe, if that. I was a game artist, and the reason I became a game designer is because there was no game designer. Literally, we had a startup, and there was no game designer. And I was like, well, I write. So I think I could, and I played a lot of adventure games when I was a kid. I think I could come up with some lateral thinking puzzles, some inventory-based, what was the game developer thinking bullshit. That's the short answer. So where do I work now? I work in fintech, financial technology, specifically machine learning and artificial intelligence, which is surprisingly much more egalitarian than game development was, which shocked me too. Right, I was shocked when I went for the interview. I was not expecting much. I was certainly not expecting to not want to leave the building, even though I remember this very well. That day I remember the powers. People have done those power days, right? They do them in almost every startup. They have a power day. You're just there for 4 or 5, maybe even 8 hours. In game design, sometimes in game development, they would do things like put you in a room, they cycle you through people. And I had experiences where people came in, the people who were going to interview me came in, and they would just, let's see, do I have... They would do stuff like this. Here are 2 dice, a cup and a ball. I'm going to go walk around outside for 20 minutes. When I come back, I want you to have designed a game using all of these elements, and we'll play it. Literally, well, not these exact things, but I literally had that. That was one of my game design challenges when I was working for, or when I applied for a job at, what should I say? Red Storm. Tom Clancy's, and they do Rainbow Six and all that shit. They did offer me a job. The salary was so insulting. You think I'm going to live in North Carolina for that money? But they were actually generally very nice. But anyway, the interview for the fintech where I work now, it was a series of good impression, bad impression, good impression, but mostly good impressions. But one of the not so good impressions was when I first sort of walked in the door to the building and saw the space where you work. It looked all great, except for this giant tin type sign hanging over in front of, so everyone could see it, and it just said disrupt. And even way back then in 2017, whatever it was, I was like, that's fucking goofy. You're not fooling anyone. There's not much disruption going on. And if there were, the risk office would be like, stop disrupting. And you'd say, but there's a sign here that says that we're supposed to disrupt. So that's where I work now. God will. I assume you are a Christian atheist. All right, let me catch up here. Who is your daddy? What does he do? I don't. I do accept compliments sometimes, if I feel they're valid. I just usually don't feel like they're valid. Hey, LQ, how are you doing? Yeah. If you follow my Instagram, I posted a very sophisticated black and white photo highlighting all of my skin, my sunspots and wrinkles and stuff, because I wanted to own it. So there you go. Goodbye. Who's leaving? Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Good night, Maddie. Yeah, Civilization is one of the good games that I worked on. Yes. That was one of the good ones. Of the, whatever it was, 50 games, whatever it is. I mean, come on. Let's fact check this. Seriously. Just for shits and giggles, let me read out a couple of names of games that I've worked on, and judge for yourself if you think these sound like quality ways to spend your time. Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader for the Nintendo DS. I'm skipping some. I will say, okay, so Small Town Terror's Pilgrim's Hook, that is a hidden object game that I really got into writing the story, and it is where Pioneer's Lash came from. Pioneer's Lash was basically me taking the story I'd written for Pilgrim's Hook and changing Pilgrim's Hook into Pioneer's Lash, but I never finished it. The Hardy Boys, The Hidden Theft. Operation Body Count. There's a number of videos on YouTube waxing poetic on what a horrible game Operation Body Count is. William Shatner's Tech War. Same. Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. Ultimate Backgammon. That was a fun one, let me tell you. You don't know the joys of game development until you're working on a backgammon game. Lost, the video game. I've never even watched this show. Like, I've never watched the show. Seriously. Bratz with a Z. Who can forget Bratz? Shrek 2. Activity Center. And good ones. The good ones, I think the good ones are Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. I feel like that was a good game. Elder Scrolls Online. I that game got a bad rap, and I think time has kind of shown, when it came out, it got a bad rap. But I think time has shown that it's one of the better MMOs. SpongeBob SquarePants Employee of the Month. Actually, the first game I designed, and I totally just ripped off like LucasArts and Sierra Games to try and do like a story-based adventure game, which the publisher would never have allowed if they thought SpongeBob was going to be successful, because at the time SpongeBob was not successful yet. And in fact, if you like follow the trajectory of the games that we had to do after that, they became platformers. As soon as SpongeBob became popular, then the games turned into platformers, jumping around, hitting stuff with your butterfly net. Shit, total shit. Civilization 2, the Civilization 2 series, Test of Time, Fantastic Worlds, yeah. Those were good, I think. Trump Castle 3. That's pretty much it. It's not much of an oeuvre. There's a lot of words here, but not a lot of oomph. So, anyway, yeah. So that's been the course of my life thus far. Oh my God, Q. Why would you do this to me? Why would you do that to me? That was the first game that I worked on with the company that the game dev house that I founded with some friends of mine. And we just happened to know somebody, at Mattel, who wanted to do something with a license. And we got lucky. And we flubbed it. It's a terrible piece of crap. All right, let's get out of this. Oh, really? I loved MUDs. Loved them. Played them all the time. And of course, like Zork, right? Which was a stolen MUD. Hi, Mouse Bear Kitty. How are you doing? I don't know that I know you. Do I know you? Does anybody know how Miz is doing? Has anyone heard from Miz like recently? Pivy, of course. Of course, yours are like the most valid. Wait a minute, is this actually Brad Pitt? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have TikTok. I don't watch TikTok. I don't know who the Liver King is. I'm a little interested. I got to tell you, you've piqued my interest. Am I going to regret this? I'm going to regret this, aren't I? Holy shit. Holy shit. So the best thing to eat after you work out is liver. Look at this guy's body. That's crazy. So he eats raw meat. My thoughts on the Liver King are, it seems to be working for you, buddy. Keep doing it. Sorry, Mouse Bear, I'm not aware of the situation you're in. Yeah, I hope things improve soon, too. That sounds terrible. Well, this is true, I knew 742. Yeah. MMOs are sort of, they're a bit passe at this point. I would always take a good single player narrative experience over a genericized, has to work for everyone MMO style experience. Absolutely. Oh, excellent. This is great to hear. But Ms. Okay, safe but not doing great. Okay, so this is the stuff I saw. Yeah. So Ms. is basically like in a bunker, unable to leave, and unable to get supplies. Hey, Flaglow. It's been a while, dude. And that's good. That's almost tautological. I like it. But it's good to know that at least Mrs. surviving. But anyway, let's get more into that because, oh, and let me put up. So yeah, if you want to talk about situation in the Ukraine, whatever you want, please send something here. Don't send it there. Send something here. Just send something there. You know where to send it. Wanted to also thank you all for how welcoming you were to Angelica 2 weeks ago. I had a blast doing that. That was super fun. Someone clearly wise beyond their years and an idealist, maybe. Aren't we all? Like in some areas. Really, the LUT is making the email difficult to see, or is it my Star Trek sweatshirt? It's a dead symbol at gmail.com. Yeah, it really was pretty much like that, wasn't it? I'm not sure why she should do her own show, right? It would be freaking huge. So one of the things that this preamp allows me to do is this. All right. I'm a hopeless idealist. Hopeless idealist. Anyway, I spent the weekend, and a little more than the weekend, and really just every day, just like everybody I think has, right? Like just kind of thinking about how to process what's going on and what my thoughts are. That's good, huh? That's a good one. And they're complicated. It's not a simple matter, right? Like my gut reaction is stuff like, why is there not a no-fly zone? Why is Russia able to use SWIFT? Knee-jerk reactions that doesn't mean they're wrong necessarily, but they are certainly reflexive instead of contemplative. What, you didn't hear the reverb? You didn't hear the reverb on that, Q? Sweet Pea, I don't think I've acknowledged you tonight. Hi. That's it. That's all you get. And for those of you who don't know, Q did something fantastic in the past week or two. So y'all remember, I have not forgotten, by the way, the writing competition this year. Not competition, the writing extravaganza this year. I'm excited about it. I am excited by like reading the stories that come out of it. Just about everything about it. Especially being able to bring out the spinning wheel to give away money. That's my favorite part of it. So I have not forgotten about it, but Q took all of the stories from last year's extravaganza, compiled them into a single PDF, I think it is, or doc file, one or the other. And it's like 150 pages of just these amazing short stories that, like, if I had stumbled upon this collection of short stories and just read them and not known who any of these people were, I would have loved it. I would have loved it. Hey, Ava, it's good to see you. Yes. I would have loved to see that too. Perhaps Elon Musk is not quite the savior he makes himself out to be, bringing unwanted submarines to rescue people trapped in caves, and difficult to deploy Starlink servers and satellites to a situation that needs remediation now. Did you all see that, speaking of Elon Musk and oligarchs, I forget his name, Jimmy something, the guy who did Elon Musk's jet is now tracking Russian billionaires and oligarchs' jets, which has to be rather, I think, unnerving for them. So I'm glad that Elon did not cave to him and give him a Model 3, so that he would have done it anyway, I think, but and it's been nice to see, like, some of the ways that people have come together have been lovely. It's great to see that kind of stuff. It's unfortunate that what it takes to get to that situation. And it's also unfortunate, like, how narrow our focus is when we think about causation and why things are the way they are. Right? I feel like we are not introspective enough culturally and historically, or we find an easy sort of hook to hang things on, and we stop there. I'm trying to remember who said it. I don't remember who said it. Somebody said, it's correct to say that Putin's actions were were deplorable, are deplorable. But it's not correct to say that they're unprovoked. I mean, so you look at like the revolution of dignity, the dignity revolution, the Maidan stuff, the Crimean Peninsula, 2013, 2014, Ukraine revolution. Hold on, waiting for it. It's sort of like that stuff that when you have politicians who refuse to take, who are doing that thing where they just take credit for things that happened, things that take time to happen. They take credit for things that happen off their watch that kind of, you got the net benefits of them on their watch. Like, just for an example, Obama's unemployment numbers that Trump took credit for. But you have like these situations that are happening, and they're inevitable. They're coming down the pike. And it is like one of the reasons, I think, where you have like, it's actually one of the stated reasons, since I got the Federalist Papers, been reading it, Alexander Hamilton was in favor of not imposing such strict term limits, was because he wanted to avoid, and I think like it's a matter of like you have the lesser of two evils going on here, right? He wanted to avoid people acting in the short term for results in the short term. And he correctly, to an extent, correctly surmised that like, well, if someone can only be in office for a total of 8 years, why are they going to plant a tree? They're going to pick fruit. They're not going to plant trees. So let me get my email open here. Y'all, nobody wants to talk. I need to bounce ideas off more than just like my id to my superego, my superego to my ego. But yeah, so Q put the book together. It's great. If anybody doesn't have access to it, you can get access to it on the Discord server. Q did all the typesetting and made everything, nice and standardized. It's 150 pages. So it's more than 150 pages. I think that's an accomplishment. Karan, you'll talk. Just send an email. We don't have to talk about war. We can talk about anything you like. We can talk about, for instance, what can we talk about? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, how can we call English an advanced language when the verb form of cleave means both to split or sever and to stick fast to? Same etymology. These aren't homophones. Same etymology, same spelling, the exact same damn word. They are conjugated the same, and they mean the exact opposite things depending on context. Ridiculous. English is ridiculous. Jessica, hi, by the way, we're bouncing whatever you want to bounce. Sure, let's do this. What's up? Talk about my editing process. There's not much to talk about there. I agree with this, Flaglo. Is it good? It's chaotic neutral, right? Is it chaotic good? Chaotic good or chaotic neutral? Oh, you haven't? Oh. Somebody's calling in already. Who is this person? All right, let's bring this person on. See, they're on the right, so I should be on the little.
Can you hear me?
Who's is this? Angelica?
Yeah. Can you hear me though?
I can hear you, but you're out of frame. Can you
Okay.
move
Let
like
me
this
see if
way a
I
little
can.
bit? I think maybe I meant the other way.
Hold up.
Whatever way
I'm
I
gonna figure
said,
this
there you
out,
go.
and it's
There
been
you're in
figured out.
frame.
Okay, so I'm using my phone. I didn't think this one through, honestly. I was just testing to see if the link even worked. Um, so I didn't plan ahead. Give me one moment.
Oh, you know what you get when you don't plan ahead.
This is what happens when you only ever do things on the fly. Ow, my arm.
I don't know if maybe I'm wrong. Can you hear me yet, or are you waiting for your headphones? I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I can hear
Do
you.
you want me to take you off screen while you're doing this?
No, I think at this point I'm good now.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Let me just check
Okay. Can you still
levels.
hear me?
Yep, can hear you. Can hear you. Can see you. You're
Okay.
you're a little off frame. I don't know if you can come to your right. There you go.
Okay. Cool. Sorry
Perfect.
about that. Sorry about that. Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. There we go. That's what I was trying to figure out. I'm doing good. I mostly was just kind of watching your podcast because I was like very much like I very much became a fan of your podcast after watching a couple episodes when we had our last interview and or like chat or whatever. Hold up.
Can you tell me
Now I
lots
can
of things that you like about?
um I mostly just like how you dissect subjects in a way where it's like you kind of climb up the steps of each logical like processy and filter it on like deconstruct it essentially. um so yeah, I thought that that was very interesting. um and I was like, honestly, I didn't think that I would it like the link would work, so I'm a little bit flabbergasted because I remember as I was watching it I was like, oh well, there's like something I want to talk about here. Oh, the writing competition, that's what I wanted to discuss.
Oh,
um that's
don't
what
tell me you're interested in entering the writing competition.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I am very interested in joining the writing competition. That's why I was gonna ask, like, what are the details and the breakdowns and the rules and all of that.
That's a great question that we were trying to figure out a couple weeks ago, because I guess I was trying to. So I don't I don't want to like give prizes based on merit, right? I wanted to just like give prizes as an incentive for people to do stuff, right? Just to sort of spark creativity. Um, so it's not like anything is judged, right? But then at the same time, it was like, well, I didn't want someone who spent weeks writing 5,000 words and constructing a narrative to have the exact, because essentially I'm spinning a wheel to see who wins, right? I didn't want like someone doing that to have the same kind of, um, to be in the same bucket as maybe someone who wrote a haiku or something, right? So there were some, last year it was, we were going for weird fiction. And it was, I think, 2,000 to 4,000 words. Look, I think I have do I still have this? Let me see for a second if I have this text where we were trying to figure out how to do it. That's not it. That's not it. Did you see Hannah Waddingham's brilliant response to Seth Rogen mispronouncing her name at the Emmys?
No, I didn't even know Joe Rogan was at the Emmys.
Oh no, Seth Rogen.
Oh, Seth
Did I
Rogen.
say Joe Rogan? I might have said Joe Rogan. I don't remember.
I can't recall. I haven't seen anything of any of this stuff. Like, I've only been reading up on, like, obviously what's been going on in Ukraine and Russia and all of that jazz. And I'm pretty sure I've been reading up on something else. But, like, when it comes to Hollywood and, like, all of that jazz, it really took a back seat. I thought that was Kurt Cobain as a little boy for a second.
Oh, it's funny. This was my first childhood crush, Ricky Schroeder, and he turned into a right wing anti-masker yelling at Costco managers for not letting him in. But he was so
looks
cute.
Like it.
He was so cute. Even there, he looks like it.
That's the face of a little boy who's gonna grow up to shout in the faces of Costco employees.
Oh man, he could have gone either way though.
He could become Kurt Cobain.
Yeah,
very well could have just been a member of Nirvana.
Are those the options there? Dead at 27 or right wing yelling at a Costco manager?
Exactly. Those are the only two. It's either you join a grunge band or you become a Karen. That's the only two options for this kid.
Well, I don't know which is worse, honestly. Like I don't want him dead, but I also don't want him becoming what he became. Sorry about that. I'm trying to find. It's hard the way that this is. No, that's not it. And now I can't hide it. Shit. Well, we haven't figured out exactly like what the criteria are, basically, but it would be, like I said, like last year it was weird fiction, or horror, right? Some kind of horror. But I think this year we were trying to make it broader. I think the only sort of real rule about it, I think we're thinking about including creative nonfiction, but like no erotica. I think that was basically just like the only rule because I just don't want to.
Speaking of which, I guess it's not speaking of which. Do you hear feedback from the video in your ear monitor or anything like that?
No.
Like I have mine without any headphones, so I'm like apologetic for having just jumped in because.
No, I think the echo cancellation is working really well, but let's see if anybody. Is anybody hearing any sort of echo on either of our sides? I don't think they are. Oh man, but Flagelo, why? He kind of did have my love though. That's.
Hold up. There was a question I was going to ask regarding that. It sparked from the writing contest. So this year's theme is going to be like horror and.
That was last year's.
Okay, so
like this year, I think we were just kind of opening it up to pretty much anything, fantasy, whatever, just like some kind of narrative fiction or creative nonfiction. It can, and putting some kind of like word limitation on it, both margins, lower and upper, and so it could be.
Yet?
What's that?
It's not decided yet.
No, I haven't been decided yet. Do you have a suggestion?
I was gonna say like between 1 to 5,000. I would say it's like pretty
1 to 5,000. Yeah, I think we did 2 to 4 or 2 to 5 last year. But yeah, I think that's pretty. I actually feel like maybe some of the stories that we got were a little long because then we would read them. We would read them, on the podcast, and I kind of based the word count on like, well, whenever I would write like scripts for stuff to do videos, about 3,000 words is about 30 to 40 minutes of reading, at the pace that I read aloud. So I figured like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. But it ended up like taking a little longer. And then we have other people in the chat like read other people's stories and then post those. It's yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to doing it again.
It's like a communal. It's like when people would like circle around a fire and start sharing like folk stories or whatever. It's very much just like, what is everyone's mind conjured up, and how does it like add on to the bigger vibe or scene that's going on?
Yeah, and I think that's a great way of looking at it, but I don't want to. I was surprised at the quality of the submissions, which is not to say that I thought anyone was going to be giving poor submissions, but every one of those stories I read, like I was saying before, I don't know if you heard it, but like if I didn't know who wrote these and someone handed this to me, I would just be like, oh, that's a great compilation of weird fiction. And I like weird fiction, so give me more, right? So in a way, it's very selfish of me. But I don't know, because you are a published author. Maybe is that really, is that fair? I guess because there's no judging. It's random. It wouldn't matter. And my guess would be that if you won, you would probably donate the money to a charity or something. So that'd
Of course. Of
probably be
course.
my guess.
I'd probably just be like, I didn't win. I just wanted to like submit it and have people read it, but no one judge me here. I just want to like have people read my. I think that's something that I kind of get off on, is just writing a story and seeing how people react to it, especially if they react in a way which is very palatable for me. Like if I manage to get someone to feel genuinely just like, how dare you let my eyes befall on these pages, which happened once, then
Can you
I'm
call
satisfied
can you
for
call out when
what happened.
you said it happened once?
Yes, it happened
Can
once.
can you say what it
Well,
was?
in my creative writing classroom, I kind of, what's it called? I slacked on the class big time. So I just recycled the stories that I had written before, like years ago, and I just put that in as my homework. So I ended up putting in the first chapter of a novel that I had written years ago, and I submitted it for like peer review. And the girl that got my homework assignment said she only read 3 pages and that she could not finish it because it was just too much, like, she basically just said it was hideously, like it was just a horrible, like, and I ended up asking her specifically. I was like, okay, but what was the structure, like what was the, like the whole, like, grammar of it and everything? And she's like, no, everything was fine, the way it was written was fine, it's just what was the subject that's messed up. And I'm like, oh, thank God. That's, thank you.
So you weren't insulted by, yeah, you were worried that I'm can you say what you wrote about? Is it
um well, it's a novel that I wrote when I was like 16, where it's messed up. It's a really messed up novel. Like it's messed up.
but you're okay with people like finding what you write or talk about controversial?
Yeah. In fact, I enjoy it.
Yeah, well, like there was some controversy over some of the things that we were talking about a couple weeks ago.
What's that?
Some small controversy, right? Well, I mean, there are a couple of schools of thought on, on the benefits of communism in practice, versus the benefits of communism in theory. Um, and for instance, right, there were a couple people in chat who live in Russia who I wish that they were here tonight, but I don't think that they are. I wanted to hear like both sides of it, and living in Miami, right, like when we had the Mariel boat lift and the sort of mass Cuban immigration coming over to America, like every Cuban person I ever met was very, very anti-Fidel, right? And but it's hard, right? Because sometimes you're dealing with these situations where it's like, okay, for the people on the ground, for the people who are going through this and experiencing this right now, it's so clear cut because they're right in the middle of it. And for people who are not in the middle of it, like myself, and I've done this right a bunch of times, to maybe say what it is that would be better for those people, even if they're right, right, which often they are, right. It's hard when you're in the middle of it to kind of uh, see the wisdom in that, right? Do you know what I'm getting at here? I don't know if I'm.
Yeah, no, I see what you're leading to. I just found it funny where it was like we were talking about like the writing competition, and you were like, let me just bring it back to communism. But the other note that I was also noticing was, for some reason I'm very like, I saw the interview that you had with Ms. and I remember I was like, they're adorable, like he's amazing. But I also noticed like no one's seen Ms. I mean, like I saw him earlier in the chat. So I'm also kind of like concerned
I don't think
for
he. I don't think he
Rocky.
showed up Are you talking about Miz or Václav?
Miz, I think, showed up earlier in the chat. I think I saw a couple of his
Really?
comments. And Václav, I didn't see it. I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't see Václav. I didn't think Miz showed up today either. I thought he was stuck in a bunker, essentially like a bomb shelter, based on some Discord comments. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Does anybody know? By the way, Karan, I sent the link back to you, Karan, because we can do like 3 people talking at once.
Yeah,
Be amazing.
I'm down. Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the current state of the Russian invasion of
Russia
Ukraine?
and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the history, like the long-standing history of Ukraine. I know that, as far as I know, was that in 2014, Ukraine was bombing its own citizens, particularly the Russian separatists. So I don't know the full context of that. I haven't flipped that topic back on its head and been like, well, what were the Russian separatists doing? And then flip it back over and be like, well, what was the Ukrainian government doing? Yada, yada, yada. All I know is that NATO was trying to expand into Ukraine. And consequently, obviously, Russia saw that as a threat. And it wasn't like an imperialist move where we invade Jamaica or Puerto Rico or Palestine and end up being like, well, this is our land now. It seemed to me like it was a protective measure. That being said, it doesn't excuse the fact that this is still going on and that people are being caught in the middle of it, human beings, all because of imaginary lines drawn on the ground.
Yeah.
So I have a very like, I don't know, I I have a very anti-America, simplistic anarchist view of it, where I'm like, none of this should have happened. Countries should have never existed. States are never right.
I've seen your IG. I've seen your Instagram account, and it does seem like there's a bit of anti-American sentiment on them. Or sorry, anti-capitalist, right? Anti-capitalist might be more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
USA. Yeah, no, it's my politics basically boils down to whatever's going on in the world. Somehow, some way, the U.S. is to blame, and more specifically, the oligarchs within the U.S. trying to profit off of X, Y, or Z. Because I'm sure the arms manufacturers right now are having a great day profiting.
Oh yeah, stocks went up.
Industry.
Yeah, there were definitely like board meetings with people dancing on desks and
yeah, just like we got out of Afghanistan and now we're going to Russia.
Right. In fact, I think there was like someone was caught on a hot mic at Raytheon. I think it was Raytheon, basically saying almost exactly what you just said there. Not quite as glibly, but like, yes, with the end of our involvement in Afghanistan, it means like a less need for what we provide. However, there are still ample opportunities for us to expand. And like in the way they phrase that, and I guess when I say a hot mic, I think it was like a leaked email. Maybe it wasn't actually a hot mic. But the way like companies like that just sort of evaluate human suffering as like that's their commodity, right? Like that's their, what was that?
I mean, it's like that one senator where I forgot which one it was, but it was basically during Christmas time where he was like joking around supposedly, but it was like one of those jokes where it's like you're just mocking the people. It's not like an actual like ironic satire or whatever, where basically he was like pointing at his like really big tree and he's like, this is what a Christmas tree is supposed to look like, but you guys are broke. And it's like not only that, but pretty much every little petty fishing for like whatever, like the way politicians in general, just the way they think that people can buy certain things or like conceptually, it just reveals their contempt for the masses. Like they don't care about us. They just want us. They only see us as votes and as consumers. And the moment either of those two go away, it pretty much we're useless and exterminate them essentially.
Right. So, well, so let's talk a little bit about NATO. Okay. Because there is like right. So here, I don't know if you can read this or not, but it's tiny.
I have no idea what that just meant.
Oh, sorry. Let me put it up again. So I think it's basically like what Pivy is expressing here. And Pivy, I'm not 100% sure where you live. Could you tell me where you live? I'm sure you've told me before, but I forget. I think where the antagonism comes in there is like NATO was created for a specific purpose, right? And it arguably served its purpose or its stated purpose and is now serving other purposes. And one of those purposes is serves the interests of the United States pretty damn well, because it's essentially in a sort of roundabout way. I mean, it's not de facto colonization, but it is essentially like creating untouchable allies further and further east in Europe, which if you are somebody like, well, if you are Russia, that could be seen as an act of provocation. I'm not saying that it's not right or that it is right. I'm just saying, like, if Putin is finding him, or I don't even want to say Putin, I just want to say, like, if there's a country finding themselves encircled by an alliance of nations whose very purpose was basically to rein you in, right? And that's what they're continuing to do, and they're going beyond what their stated charter was. That could be seen as an act of like passive aggression, right? And so I guess that's when I was saying like what Putin did is unconscionable, but wasn't unprovoked. And going back to what you were talking about, like with the revolution of dignity, which I'm listening to a book on that now, but I wasn't able to get all the way through it. To be honest, it is kind of dry, and I should have gotten it in regular book form, because when you're listening to an audiobook and you're hearing a lot of like foreign city names and people names, for me it gets like conflated kind of easily. So it would have been much easier for me if I had actually gotten that in actual book form. Whoops. So we have. Do you want to be joined by someone else too?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah, definitely.
I've never spoken to this person before. I don't think. But this is Karan. And I don't even know if I'm saying their name right. Karan, am I saying your name right?
Close enough.
No, I'm not saying your name right. Wait, how do you say your name?
It's the name of a song, and I honestly don't know how it's supposed to be said. So you could just go with Michelle. That's fine.
Michelle. Okay. So, but is Michelle your name, or is?
Yes, Michelle's my name.
Okay. Hi, Michelle. How are you doing?
Hi.
What's going on? You I think live in Miami. Oh. Well, you said it in chat. You said it in chat, so it's.
So it's not doxing.
Yeah. It's already known.
Yeah. Yeah, I do, and oddly enough, I find it very surprising that we haven't run across each other, considering the length of time that I've lived in South Florida, and you were born and raised here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very possible we were in the same Publix or something at some point.
Or the same concert, probably.
Yeah, maybe something like that. But I have no idea. But Michelle, have you met Angelica?
No, not formally. Hello.
Is actually a name. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry that I ended up I honestly just clicked the link, and I was just like, I just want to see if my phone would do it, and then I ended up, I don't know, it was stupid. Sorry about that.
I don't think you have anything to be sorry for, and I honestly I feel like people have a lot of opinions about a lot of things, and I don't feel like we should be. And this is just me personally. I don't feel like we should be saying like, okay, well, this is absolutely the way that it is, or this is absolutely the way that it is, and talking about these things, like maybe some people get a little riled up about it, but that's also how we come to consensus, right? So,
are you talking about NATO, like the NATO question?
Yeah, I think
Or the NATO comment, rather?
Pivy is not going to be budged on the NATO question, and I understand that, right? Like that's.
I mean, like, my thing is that it doesn't matter if you budge or not. Like, it's not a matter of changing your mind. It's like whatever you think is whatever you think. That's how your mind organizes that information. But I do find it weird when anyone has such an identity with a line in the ground that they're like, my country, whatever it does, it's perfectly fine and it's all right by me. When I'm like, my country has destroyed my other country that my mom came from and colonized the island that I also came from to a point where I can't even live there anymore. So why exactly am I going to side with anything that the US does? I mean, the game can be played multiple ways, but ultimately it's just a matter of who who's thinking that they're like completely right and who's actually critically thinking about every point that they're ingesting. Like, if you can say that you're wrong, like if you can acknowledge like maybe I am wrong, maybe I should read about something deeper or learn about something deeper, then that's pretty much the best approach that you can possibly have. You can't have that absolutism and then expect to be right every single time.
Right. And also, right, like as facts change or as situations change, we need to update our opinions or what we think based on the evolution of those facts. Right. Mm-hmm. So, Michelle, what can I ask? Can I ask what your heritage is? Is that like a?
I am half Caucasian, of European descent, Irish and Scottish, and half Thai.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I can't. I want. Okay.
You wanted to speak Spanish at me. I only know the naughty words. I've been to a lot of Strikers / Miami Fusion games, so I only know like the worst of the worst.
But you were born and raised in Miami.
No, I was born in Massachusetts, and I moved down here, I think, when I was a year and a half.
Okay, so
and yeah, for the most part. I mean, I lived a bit in Hawaii and Georgia, but majority of my life's been spent in South Florida.
Did you say a bit in Hawaii and Georgia?
Yeah.
Wow.
I went to 3 different high schools, 13 different schools total.
Oh my god, that sounds so nice. It's like you stayed by all the warmer weathers, so that we didn't have to experience the bitterness of cold.
You got a year and a half in Massachusetts.
Because I experienced all the worst school systems.
Oh god, that sucks.
So Hawaii has bad school. I know Miami's school systems aren't great.
They're not great, but Hawaii insisted that I did not take U.S. history, even though I took U.S. history in Georgia, and I took the same U.S. history in Florida. Matter of fact, had the same U.S. history book in all 3 states, but because it wasn't in Hawaii, it wasn't recognized, so I wound up sitting out half of my senior year in high school, just literally chilling in a portable. Well, part of it was I wasn't even allowed into school. And then when I was allowed into school, I hung out for half of that year, and I still somehow managed to graduate cum laude.
Ooh.
Also, Thais were the biggest, toughest gang at that school, so that was fun. The land of smiles.
That was fun.
Well, yeah, because people were throwing stuff at me. Like Hawaiian culture, they're colonized. You know, the Hawaiian people and Samoans are colonized. We just went in there and were like, hey, palm trees, all right, let's take it. You know, oh, you're a sovereign nation and you've got a queen, whatever.
Yeah,
for the U.S. Army.
That's fairly typical imperialist behavior, right?
Oh yeah, and you know it's very recent still. It's very fresh. I mean, we're talking like the mid 1800s to late 1800s, so it's not far distance away, and as far as time's concerned. So yeah, I'll put it into as succinct a perspective as I can. There's something called Kill Haole Day in Hawaii, in the Hawaiian school system. And haole is a pejorative term for someone who's white or from the mainland. It's an ethnic slur in the
Howley,
Hawaiian
I've never
language.
heard it. Never heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and parents will actually pull their kids from school when they find out what day Kill Howley Day is, because you will get jacked up. You will get your ass beat, if especially if you're black, especially if you're military, especially if you're white. So yeah, being half Thai and the Thais being one of the stronger gangs at the school helped me not get my ass beat, because I did get stuff thrown at me, and
But would you go to school on Kilholly Day?
I no, I skipped Kill Holiday. I just I didn't want to take that chance. And my father, um, at the time, he was in the U.S. Army. He was serving at Schofield Barracks, waiting to go to Gulf War One. um, yeah, he was like, "You no, don't go. It's stupid. You know, you don't have to go." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm down with that. Not going to school. I'm perfectly okay with not watching people get murdered. Myself getting, dodging bottles and whatnot."
Yeah. And that was pretty much accepted that like that's what happened, right? Like,
Oh yeah, it's par for the course. It's if you're a colonizer,
yeah. Here's
um,
Brian's question. Yeah, like it seems like you're going after the colonizer. Like, why would they go after uh, non-white kids? Right? I
well,
guess you're saying it's everyone from the mainland, right?
everyone from the mainland. If you live in the islands for like a year, I think it's exactly a year, you're considered a Kama'aina, which is kind of like you're not really a local, but you're local-ish. Um, but unfortunately, like the pervasive racism that exists on the mainland, there is also that same level of racism in the islands, and Black people, people of color, are looked upon as being less than. So there's actually like a tier of who is hated the most. And unfortunately, Black people are at the top of that list. Second to them is military, any military. Doesn't matter what branch you're part of. Um, the Japanese are also looked upon very disfavorably because they own significant portions of land. It really comes down to who owns, XYZ amount of land. Military obviously has trem- you know, tremendous property in the islands. The Japanese do as well because resorts, um, golf courses. Uh, Second to that is probably the marijuana grow ops. Um, that's kind of terrifying to stumble across when you're just cruising around the island trying to figure out what to do. And you come across a very dense field and there's a trailer in the middle of it, and turn back now or you're going to face, the wrong end of a double barreled shotgun.
Yikes.
Yeah, so like pineapples, pot, golf courses, military bases. That's pretty much the landscape of Hawaii.
Yeah,
A lot
that's
of people don't realize that.
yeah. I definitely didn't realize it. I don't know
And
if
I lived on Oahu, which is where Honolulu is. So I wasn't even like on one of the lesser or less densely populated islands. I was the our house overlooked Waikiki, which is where Pearl Harbor is.
yeah.
And yeah, shenanigans galore in terms of race.
In Puerto Rico, there's the quote, small town, big hell," which is really popular. Or basically because it's an island, and also because it's so densely populated, and also because it is colonized, all of that stress and level of tension just boil to the surface, and you
Yeah.
get a lot of this sort of stuff pretty much throughout. Like, I think Dominican Republic is that way too. you just basically get that same level of like that tier colorism that you were talking about, where it's like the darker you are, because of the whole European beauty standard that they were colonized with, the darker you are, you still get bullied because the kids who are also colonized are trying to get that sense of power that
Yeah.
the higher ups are depriving from them, from the people beneath them,
Yeah.
supposedly on the tier list. And so yeah, that's pretty much prevalent throughout all the minorities. Is just that like colorism that basically makes us go against one another as opposed to being in solidarity with like every island and all of that jazz in colonized lands.
Yeah, especially when you're in an area that is so isolated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whereas there's a lot of turnover with regard to tourists and military personnel, you're stuck in the same county. You, it takes you 2.5 hours to go around Oahu.
Mm-hmm.
You can't leave.
Yeah.
To get anything from the mainland, it can take up to 3 to 4 months for it to come over on a container ship.
How
And by the time
many
it gets to you,
how many years did you live on Hawaii? In Hawaii?
3.5.
And those
And
high school years,
Those
those
are
were
your
formative
formative
years.
years.
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I graduated high school there, and I started working there. So yeah, I mean, it you know, early formative years, and kind of a lot of harsh truths learned at that time. Um, because again, at Gulf War One, um, you know, you get a lot of different insights when you're in a military family. Um, and like one of the first things I learned at that time, like my father served 3 tours of Vietnam in the Air Force, which is why I'm half Thai. Uh,
He
because
served
the U.S.
Vietnam and also in Afghanistan?
He served in Vietnam. He served in the Persian Gulf War. Um, those were his two big wars. He did also spend time serving in the DMZ between North Korea and South Korea.
The demilitarized zone?
Yep. Um, the funny thing about the Persian Gulf War is, and I'm not sure a lot of the public knows this, but at the time there were no veterans. Like the most recent veterans approaching that war were from Grenada.
Oh, so you're saying like the people going into that war were all like
Didn't
first
know
timers?
war.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were more familiar with like what was the when we went after Noriega? It was like Operation Pineapple or something like that.
That
So
sounds like the kind of euphemism that would be
yeah,
used to like describe trying to kill a bunch of people.
yeah,
Operation
exactly.
Pineapple.
Something delightful. Dole, sponsored by Dole,
Yeah.
Operation Pineapple. Um, yeah, so those were the veterans. That's the veteran group that literally came from 2 police actions, more like 2 police actions and 2 military exercises. So they were asking Vietnam War veterans, because at that point you've served X number of years, and you're at a rank where you can elect certain assignments. They were asking them, "Hey, would you have mind going over to Saudi Arabia?" And they did ask my dad that question. At the time, he was based at Fort Benning in Georgia, and they'd asked him, "Hey, do you want to go to Saudi Arabia?" And my father said, "No, I have served in my war, and 3 years of it, exposure to Agent Orange. I came back. I'm now in the Army. Yeah, I'm serving of my own volition, but I don't want to be in a war again, because I know what war's like, and I know what's waiting for me at the other side of it from the U.S. government, which is a whole lot of nothing." They actually offered him like, "Oh, do you want to go to Detroit? Do you want to go to Detroit?" And oh God, I miss my dad. He laughed so hard. It's like, a choice between Saudi Arabia and Detroit. Really, that's the choice.
Jesus.
Yeah, they offered him all sorts of things, and then out of nowhere, Hawaii came up, and that's he was like, he used to surf down here. He grew up in South Florida as well, so that's how he got to Hawaii. But
But
yeah,
that
at
must
the
have been an
time
easy choice at the time, right? Like
for an
Detroit, Saudi
ex-surfer,
Arabia, Hawaii.
Birmingham, Alabama, Quantico was one. I was interested in Quantico because at the time, I like my major in college was psychology,
Mm.
and I had wanted to go into the behavioral science unit, and I was like, any proximity to the FBI headquarters, I was excited about. But
There's
he's like,
nothing
no, I'm
exciting
not.
here. It's
No,
not
no,
very exciting.
no. As it turns out, it's not. Yeah, my father was just adamantly against me being anywhere near the U.S. Marine Corps, which is a whole other story, and it's another weird thing that I found out living in Hawaii.
It's interesting because like a lot of the recruiting strategy relies a lot on obviously like really young recruits with kind of glorified I mean not even kind of, it's just a glorified representation of what your expectations are, and
It's
so
going to be Call of Duty. It's going to be great.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, which
And
except
it's like,
you'll be able to smell it too, right? And
yeah, and you get free PTSD, which is fantastic. I mean, the VA does a primo job of helping you deal with that.
a little
You
bonus
know,
you get there, we'll throw it
yeah,
in, throw in the
exactly. And
PTSD for
if you're lucky, you get exposed to some fabulous new chemical from Dow or somebody like that.
which might turn you into a superhero, but probably
Unfortunately, it led to cancer for my father.
oh, I'm sorry, that's horrible. Was it, did they know it was from Agent Orange?
He had a fight with the Department of Defense over that. I actually still have the Stars and Stripes article on it. Yeah, my dad made the cover of Stars and Stripes because of it.
Wow.
Yeah, he unfortunately was a smoker because that was another thing they pushed in Vietnam was,
Yes.
hey,
Yeah.
You miss home, have a smoke.
Just like being at home, right?
Yeah, exactly. You'd light one up with the boys and you'll feel just fine. It'll be like you're, back on the curb or your front doorstep.
Apparently heroin was really big too in Vietnam for American servicemen.
Because it's much easier to get.
Yeah.
Easier to hide because, obviously the track marks.
Right.
You could,
scratch yourself on some underbrush or something, right? It's expected.
Or, do you hide? You're covered head to toe pretty much anyways. My dad did not get into that, thankfully. Just, drinking beer and smoking cigarettes.
Was the government defense like, oh, well, your dad smoked, so that's,
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's
and
fucked
it's like,
up.
well, he was also aviation electronics technician, and he was literally standing next to Agent Orange.
Did you see
the base?
Sure, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did you see Biden's State of the Union last night?
I watched some of it. I voted for him as the lesser of the evils on the ballot because these nuts decided not to run. I was very disappointed in that. Also, Christopher Walken decided not to run again. That was also a disappointment to me. But there's only so much. I mean, okay. My background is psychology. I've worked in marketing for like 25 years. I've clearly used my education for evil, right? The U.S. Army themselves have been a client of mine. The CDC has been a client of mine. I've had to spin some really compelling bullshit over the years to sell the American public, to convince them that they need and want something that, is vapor. You know, I look at politics now, approaching 50. I'm a year younger than you, sir. And I'm so tired of knowing that I'm being lied to, knowing that I'm being manipulated, knowing that I'm being played, hearing the words that I would craft as a marketer, as a PR person, being directed towards me. It's one thing to kind of sell your soul for a little bit because you want to get the director title by the age of 40, and you want to have a six-figure income, and you want to have a low interest mortgage on your house, and bullshit. Like you buy into that for a little while because you convince yourself this is what mature older people do. You connive yourself into the American dream. And like for me, working in that space, hearing, the chest thumping and the posturing, and like the thing that really just, it's a weird thing to get hung up on, but the thing that killed me was the work from home. Oh, we have to get our citizens back out into downtown again. No, you fucking don't. It's a pandemic. It's not endemic yet. Do you even know what endemic means? You can't even convince people to put a piece of 3 sheets, okay, 3-ply toilet paper over their face to protect themselves and their loved ones. And you're already ready for these irresponsible people to run out into the general population and just carry on like life is normal, and life is not normal. It's never going to be normal ever again. And it just like the State of the Union isn't the State of the Union. It's spin.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
What is it? 60, 90 minutes of pure spin.
Yeah.
And I know what's coming. I know what you're going to say. And I know it's going to be an us versus them, but it's really an us because, them is us. And, bipartisanship, reach across the aisle.
Well, the only reason I brought up the State of the Union was because he mentioned that his son Bo likely got cancer from being exposed to burn pits, right? When he was overseas.
Yeah, he probably did.
If I can.
But him saying it isn't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In Puerto Rico, there's an island that's like right off the coast of Puerto Rico where they drop like military bases and like all of these sort of like missiles and weaponry and stuff like that. Every single person on that island has cancer because they're so close to the military. And in Puerto Rico, pretty much everyone gets cancer because they're close to that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the radiation, I guess. But yeah, it is the reason.
Do they actually like
similar in Guam?
Mm-hmm.
Do they actually like?
We
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just curious. Like, they store them there? Do they like do like maneuvers and like firing activities and stuff? And
off the coast of Puerto Rico, I feel like it's a defunct military base, and they just left everything behind, and now it's just like rotting. In the island of Puerto Rico, I think we have a couple of military bases that are active. I think, but yeah, there's a lot of soldiers and like weaponry and stuff that happens on the island.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was one of the decommissioned bases, because in the late 80s, early 90s, under Clinton, actually, I think he's the one that put the order across to decommission a bunch of bases or downgrade them. Homestead Air Force Base was one such.
Yeah, Bill Clinton messed up Puerto Rico completely. The reason it's so bad now is because of directly him. Ever since he got into office, the island went like the economy just destroyed.
Yeah, Bill Clinton was not
Yeah.
the liberal icon that he somehow people painted him that way, but he was kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah. And they forget poor Jimmy Carter, and they lambaste him, and 444 days. Yeah, but what would you have done in that situation? Would you really have sent in special forces and, you know, killed all of the hostages as a result, and our forces as well? He cut off, trade talks with China. We couldn't send our grain over to China anymore. It's like, that's what economic sanctions and trade sanctions do. That's part of diplomacy.
Yeah.
That's why you don't drop a bomb on somebody. I don't know.
And Keynesian economics too.
But yeah, I mean, yeah.
I feel like you got a really raw deal, Karen. That sucks. I'm sorry. And like you said, like especially like coming at it from both sides, and like seeing like if you were actually having to do marketing for these people in order to survive, right?
Yeah.
This is not like, I'm guessing it was not like, this wasn't like, oh, I'm in my dream job, I love this, I want to keep doing this forever, right? But
Yeah.
and then seeing it turn back
I
on
get to
you.
work with. Yeah, I mean, I did recruitment for, or recruitment campaigns for the Department of the Army. It was one of the things. I'm so far removed from it that there's no NDA or anything anymore.
Can you say like what's one of the most despicable things that you saw that like they tried to get you to do, like putting Army baseball cards in packs of bubble gum or something, or some kind of like really nefarious recruitment tool?
Well, when I was working, it was a particular campaign. That was happening in concert with several others. They actually had accounts with a number of large agencies, multinational agencies. So they were kind of like scattered the seed far and wide. What really got to me, as someone who's played video games since Pong came out, was that they were at the very early stages of gamification.
Yeah.
With their marketing campaigns. And gamification means we are targeting young people.
Yeah.
So, and this was before, drones really came to the fore. I mean, there were a lot of early robotics, unmanned vehicles.
Oops. I think we lost Caroline. I think maybe her phone. Was it her phone, maybe? I don't know. How darn.
The edible started kicking when she was talking about like her background in analyzing like political messaging and stuff like that. And the moment she started like talking about that, the edible hit in, and I was like, "This is the best day of my life."
Oh, the
like,
edible.
I was like, "This is great." The edible hit in right on time for me to start learning about what goes on behind closed doors. Perfect.
I mean that kind of. I mean, like we know that stuff happens, right? Like, or we think that we know, but like hearing it verified like that is pretty intense.
It's cathartic. It's very much like that that's what's going on. Like especially with some of the things that Joe Biden was saying during the State of Union. It's like very clearly tailored in a way to hit every single level of consciousness in the U.S. citizen. But to hear someone be like, yes, this, like, we were the ones who organized this, like, we're the ones who write, he doesn't even know what's going on. It's like, I knew it and you were there. It's awesome. It feels
Yeah.
like someone gave you like a Blues Clues. It's like it's like, oh snap, the mystery is afoot, and we continue forward.
So there's someone else who has a surprise for you. Angelica, you can stick around as long as you want. I don't want, but I don't want to keep you any longer than you.
I was like, I don't know if I should leave. I don't know if I should stay. That's been my conundrum this entire time. But I was like, as soon as like everything popped off, I was like, I guess I'm staying.
Well, if the edible like kicks you into a higher gear or something, and you feel like you, or if you have stuff that you need to do, just let me know. Right? Like that's.
No, I mean, like, what is a better time to talk, if not when you are not in this plane of consciousness? Like, I am operating on a level in which would merit these thoughts to be unpacked.
Well,
like,
then I have a surprise for you. I'd like to introduce you to somebody.
Okay. I feel like I'm about to be.
Hi. Hello.
Indigo.
Yes.
Right?
How did you know my name? How did you know my name?
Like, I've been watching the show, and I saw you a couple of times.
Oh my god,
like,
you've seen me? Oh my god, that's amazing.
Indigo, what are you doing?
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I'm just in London right now. I'm just in London. I have been having a great time here, honestly. How are you, sir? You doing good?
You're so full of shit.
Well, you would know what that's like, so
yeah.
It's not.
Well, like recognizes like, so.
I'm just kidding. I don't have a whatever that accent was. I did not have it.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Wait.
I don't have a British
accent.
What?
Oh wait. I was like, wait, what? You're not from England?
I'm not. Oh my god, I am from America.
Freaking wild! I actually bought it. I was like, I swear to God.
Yes, that's what I wanted.
American accent.
Oh my god, that's what I wanted.
Angelica, your volume went down quite a bit, I think.
That was a surprise, guys. If you guys are in the chat. Also, I am currently under the same influence, possibly, maybe, that Angelica's under. Maybe. Like,
why am I?
possibly,
I got left
it's
out.
Speculation.
Yeah, it's a theory.
It's a possibility. Let's say.
Yeah, it's a yeah. It's nothing certain.
Yeah, exactly. Just nothing confirmed. No one can prove anything. Let's
it's not set in stone.
It's all
just go back and forth with like a bunch of uncertain words. Okay.
So Indigo, do you know Angelica? Are you familiar with Angelica?
How could you ask me that? Of course I am. Yes, I am very familiar.
How could you ask for this?
Yeah, sir. I don't even.
Oh
my god.
I could leave.
Like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, who is this guy?
Like, of course not. Like,
oh my gosh.
Not that big.
No, yeah, I watch your videos a lot, and I'm like kind of fangirling, but since I'm on the I'm kind of like also not, which is good. Yeah. But like, oh my god, I love you! Ah, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, stop.
But yeah, I watch your videos, a lot, not too much, but not too little. So that it's kind of in the middle. I watch your videos more than I watch this gentleman here. So.
I mean that's yeah.
I have like almost 1,000 videos, and I'm like, you haven't watched a lot of it unless you reach the 575 video count. All right. Like, let's not try to exaggerate your placement in my fan base right now. But I mean, like, Scott Venetian say like he's got like 100 videos.
Who is that?
What? Who?
I've never heard of that guy.
I'm just gonna leave you to it.
Yeah, I mean I didn't say it out loud.
He's just like roasting back and forth. Oh wait, yeah, it's this way.
I want to move so that like, we both are. I can't remove myself.
You're the host, obviously.
Well,
you're the one that's keeping this together.
Joy.
So it's all good.
It's like the Lizzie McGuire like 3-way call. I don't know if you watched Lizzie McGuire.
I did when I was younger.
I'm like, I don't know how much younger you are than me. I'm like,
yeah, let's not do all that.
You might be of the younger generation, even so.
Possibly.
We're Gen Z,
I don't know.
But I'm the elder Gen Z.
Yeah. And actually, I am from London. That was a joke. That I'm not from London. That was a joke.
Stop it! I'm on an edible, man. Like,
I don't have a London laugh though. I feel like it'd be like, oh.
That's a pretty good London laugh.
And crumpets.
Yeah.
Crumpets. Oh my God. My friend was like, "Do you watch Harry Potter?" It's like the most British thing. Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
you want some tea? You want a cuppa?
You just referred to Downton Abbey in like the most South London voice.
Downton Abbey. I'm not lying. They're saying I'm lying. I don't know. They don't even know me. None of you guys know me, so I could be lying about everything.
Indigo, you're in New York, right?
Oh, so you just doxed all your fans then? Okay, apparently.
You talk about it all the time.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I am in New York. I am.
Oh, that's why.
And you're somewhere.
I'm in.
I don't know.
Well, when you say you, I don't know who you're talking about. So.
You. I'm talking to you.
I'm Bob.
Yeah, I'm right outside DC.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you always say that. Like,
right there.
DC. What's the state you're in though? Like
Virginia.
Oh, okay. I'm really bad at geography. Like for a while, I didn't know that Washington was a state that's not in Washington. That's not Washington D.C. I didn't know that for a while. So yeah, I don't know a lot of things.
Too. I was like, what's that? Wait, what? They're different. That's why.
Washington already got so much stuff. He got a day. He got a freaking city. Like he got a state. Can he just have not one thing? Like what?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like every street name, major cities, an entire state is named after you. Could you have like chosen something else or nothing else?
Yeah. I was like, geez, this is a little too much for me, honestly. But yeah. But yes, I do live in New York. I live in the Big Apple. I'm in Brooklyn. My address is. No, I'm just kidding. I think did I one time say that on here? Or was that I didn't?
You said you were in Brooklyn, and you said like you might have said the restaurant you worked at or something, or given enough information that like.
I did say the restaurant I worked at. But I don't really want to talk about my job right now.
But that was a joke. That was a joke job. It's like you don't even know if that was the real job.
Yeah, you don't even know if that was real. You know, I could very well work at the Krusty Krab.
I have no idea.
I could be freaking SpongeBob. That's SpongeBob's laugh.
I feel like you two are like connecting on this very real level.
It's a beautiful moment. It's a beautiful time that you're witnessing. And then you read a book in the middle of it. Rude.
Yeah, you're so mean.
You're not even
I can't get out. I can't get out.
Man.
Okay, I can't get out. Okay.
Edibles. You lose your sight of the current moment.
Yeah, you're not on the same plane that we're on right now.
You never will reach Tom Cruise's level.
No. Oh my God. That guy's like crazy. Like he's in Scientology or whatever. I was like, what?
The insane are insane to those not within the
Oh my gosh,
insane.
That's true. Crazy people don't think they're crazy. They think everybody else is crazy. That's what's happening right now.
But crazy people also think that the people who are sane are crazy. And it's like, no. He's freaking sane. Tom Cruise is saner than most of us. He just got some loose screws.
Yeah.
Things need to be fixed majorly.
Yeah.
But he is in like Okay. You gotta watch Tom Cruise interviews.
Is this what we're talking about? Tom Cruise
for the moment right before. He's like so in the moment that when someone asks him a question, he immediately forgets the question asked and just goes off the energy that he thinks Tom Cruise, Hollywood celebrity, would show in that moment.
What? That's insane.
Did I talk about that with you at one point? What like Tom Cruise he has lost his identity as a person, right? He is an actor even when he's not acting.
He's an energy. Literally, this is it, right? He is a man.
Brad Pitt is here, guys.
The role of Hollywood actor Tom Cruise. What was that, Indigo?
Who? I was saying, oh my god, you said my name. I'm sorry, I can't. Brad Pitt is here. Oh my
Brad
god.
Pitt. He's gonna defend.
If he was actually here, I don't know what I would do. I would be like, like.
Yeah, I think it's
turn 20 years younger. Maybe then you'd be something. But
I think
also, Melissa or the other woman who was just on here, she looks way younger than you, and she's only a year younger than you. Wow, like she looked like she was in her 30s when she said she was like encountering 50. I was like, oh, and you guys didn't say anything.
When I first saw her, I legit thought she was 22.
Yeah,
and
like
I'm not like BSing. I legit thought she was 22, and that's why I was like, oh my god, hi. And then
oh my god.
Oh, no.
I was like, dang, this girl's been through a lot at such a young age. Wow.
I was like, damn, really? That happened like 5 years ago? That's wild.
Oh my god. What? People are telling me to chill. I think that I need to do the opposite of chill. They're just telling me to chill.
You go into the ultra launch stage where you're no longer chill.
Super Saiyan.
It's like,
you guys are just jealous you're not here. You're jealous you're not on the same plane as us. You're jealous you're not like Tom Cruise. That's all it is.
I'm jealous I'm not like Tom Cruise.
I'm jealous too. I would give my life to Scientology if I could be Tom Cruise.
Honestly. I'm like,
is he the one that does stunts?
Yeah, Tom Cruise is the best
Old man
person.
dies on stream. Oh my god. Old man dies on stream. Oh my god. Yes, I would love to see that.
This is where peak Gen Z energy meets Gen Z energy around Gen X energy. And it's like...
We got a boomer here.
Boomer, come on. But it is true, I'm encircled, and I definitely feel like I'm under attack.
Well, you're always under attack
this
whenever
is your
I'm
podcast.
Here. Yeah, this isn't yours. This is beyond Indigo and Angelica's doors right now. So,
guys,
exactly.
I was gonna read another poem.
No one cares about freaking poems. Every time you read that, it's like I'm not even paying attention. I'm like, okay, when is he gonna start reading the chat and paying attention to us? I don't care about freaking poems. I guess I do in the right context, just not in this context.
I was trying to set a mood.
She said, I don't care what you're picking poetry.
Unless it's your own poetry, which, I would like to hear. An old man slowly lives, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, you got it exactly right. That's pretty much the title of every one.
I write poetry, though.
Yeah?
Yeah. You want me to read something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. That's what's gonna happen right now. Okay, wait, give me a minute. I gotta find it.
She said, let me pop this bad boy out.
I'm so excited. I never thought that this would happen. Like, okay. Let me think about this. Okay, wait, no, I went to the wrong one. Yeah. Okay, I got a couple for you guys. Well, just one. Just a couple. No, it's taking forever. Okay, you guys talk while I'm doing this.
Sure. Did you know that Michael Keaton won a SAG award while he was in the bathroom?
Michael?
While he was in the bathroom?
Why would he go to the bathroom?
I guess
that would happen to me. In a situation where I'm getting an award, you will find me actually in the bathroom. Yeah.
I feel like that's something that would happen to me too. I guess something went by really fast. No, I have some nonsensical stuff here because I wanted to. The plan was to like juxtapose nonsensical things with incredibly serious
what
things.
What nonsensical things?
Well, like Michael Keaton winning an award while he's in the bathroom.
Oh, that's what you think is funny?
Did you know that Michael Keaton dated Courtney Cox?
Sorry, I should have said that. That was so mean.
Michael Keaton dated Courtney Cox?
Who's that? Wait, I've heard of that person.
On the sidelines, I just dropped that. I was like, did you know? Like a theater commercial. But yeah, it's true. They were like in love with each other for like 10 years.
Who's Courtney Cox? I feel like I've heard of that person.
The
Who's that?
Friend, Monica.
Oh, yeah. Really?
So, yeah, they dated for like 10 years. They were super in love. But I think that Michael Keaton didn't want to get married to Courtney Cox, and Courtney Cox wanted to get married, and so they broke up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and that's when she ended up marrying David Arquette.
Whoever that loser is. Mikey is the true one.
He's
Mikey's the real one.
Romance.
David Arkham Bond or whatever. Okay, wait, I got the poem though. Okay.
So here we go.
Sorry. This is the warning crane. It's a sestina or whatever. Sorry, I don't have COVID. My throat. I've been talking so much. Okay. On a certain long night with wispy gray clouds overhead, across my porch sat a crane. The bird glared right through me as water treads through skin. The morning of my sister was the next day, and there was a crane sitting at her bench, its beak facing me with a sharp point. I guessed who it was, and my chest surged with shame as I instinctively gave a wave. As always, once I moved, the crane backed down and flew, leaving me with words I could never tie. Adorned in black I stood, my hands crossed over my tie. Mother was staring at something beyond me. To look even, my neck had to crane. Contrasting us with their great pearl feathers, its wings gave a wave. A sudden thread of touch felt at my hand's skin. The crane had made its point. A wash of guilt I had buried suffocated me. After that day, my emotions awoke before my body, since I wanted to lay through the day. I opened the door with long hair like hers, and at the tip of its beak was a ribbon to tie. In the room I had not used the ribbon for its point. The fabric was dropped near my feet by the crane. I used it to tie my hair, even though it was cold against my skin. This time when the crane soars away, I don't wave. Slow steps across halls of novels with fear choking me in a successful wave. I was searching for a pretty little distraction on that day. When I sat, the curtains hugged my skin. The warm embrace became a hard tie. I looked at the curtains to see the pattern of a crane, their feathers just as white and their beaks with the same point. A windy night left me inside, then something was poking my window with a clear point. There was a certain rhythm to the taps, one that disturbed me enough to wave. When it didn't stop, I sprung to look at the crane. It did not step back as it had that day, but around its long neck was the ribbon loosely tied. There was no longer a subtle fright that had crept at my skin. But it was much greater than any dread that had ever crossed my skin. I look back to that evening in her room, where my mind seemed to point. Freely and meant for style at my hands was her tie. She sat at her mirror, her tune playing, and gave me a pretty little wave. I returned a false smile and knew that to be her last day. Tightly around her throat pulled the ribbon that was now around the crane. I walked to her resting place, prepared to give her another wave. Invisible fingers grab at my neck, which left me gasping for air on that nice day. My last sight was her grave across the tall grass, which laid the dead crane. That's it.
That was amazing.
That was awesome.
Oh, thank you. I was worried it was a little long. I was going to be like, don't worry, guys, it's almost done. But then I just got into it, so I was kind of like, for a minute, kind of forgot that we were doing this.
I loved the wordplay. Sorry, go ahead, Angelica.
It gave me a very feminine sort of like the Raven vibe, where it was like very delicate, but yet still very like, it had that same sense of gloom.
Oh my god. Yes.
You should be performing that.
I think it's the best poem I've ever written personally, but I really appreciate you guys' words. Thank you. But yeah, I wrote it for class, so it was fun.
Wow.
Oscar worthy, guys. Stop. Brad Pitt, you really won an Oscar, okay? Let's not get too hasty here. But thank you. I hope that wasn't boring.
Did you, so you did it for school?
Yeah, we were supposed to write like different poems, and like that was like a poem style. So I was like supposed to like certain words were repeating, like point, crane.
I noticed.
Tie. Yes. Yeah, that was like the format of the poem. So that's why I repeated those. And I'm glad that I actually was constricted within the format of a sestina, because I feel like it wouldn't have been as long if I wasn't. And I just, so basically, if you want to know the story, the narrator killed their sister, and the crane is her. And it's following this narrator around as they start to feel more guilt for doing this. And there's certain things. He killed a sister by choking her with a tie. It was like it was a ribbon, really, but it was also like a tie. And so he sees this crane a lot, and the sister was smaller than him, and so whenever he moved or did anything, she was kind of scared and, fearful. But the last time that the crane interacted, I'm acting like this is some huge like analysis. Like the last time the crane interacted, thank Thank you. With the narrator, it wasn't afraid. And so that made it ominous. And then when he goes to visit her grave at the end, invisible hands, her hands, choke him and kill him. And the crane is dead because its purpose
That's fucking great.
is gone. Thank you.
That's so dark. I love it.
Did you listen to Nick Cave's Where the Wild Roses Grow by chance?
No, I have not.
The music video reminds me a lot of that story, where it was basically the Nick Cave's character is basically a man who's terribly in love with this woman, and the woman is like trying to be free and whatever. So in order to like pluck her like a rose, he ends up killing her by a river where roses grow, and then places the rose between her lips to be like basically like I killed this beautiful flower. Essentially, it reminds me.
Wait, what is it called? I'm gonna look that up.
Okay, so I'm about to turn you on to Nick Cave, so feel blessed. It's Nick Cave, Where the Wild Roses Grow.
Okay. All right, I got that in my head because I didn't
it's
have
like one of those songs where you gotta listen to it 17 times the first time you listen to it.
Okay, wait, Where the Wild Roses Grow.
And Nick Cave has quite a discography.
Yeah.
Discography.
I think it was called Do You Love Me? I've been playing that one over. We're like, Do You Love Me? And it's just really, really nice.
His son died a couple years ago, right? Nick Cave's son?
I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Because his latest album, I think, was like basically a lament.
His son died, right?
Well, you know, it's important that I know these things.
Just a little music fact.
He's like, you just had like, you echo from the back. You're just like, yeah, his son died.
His son died.
I'm like, damn, that was petty.
I'm on a sugar crush. All right. Anyway. Oh my god.
Well, I'm so glad to have brought you two together.
Yes. But I think sadly that I must part because I have to go to bed.
Oh no.
Do you have school or work in the morning?
I have work.
Work in the morning.
Yeah. If I didn't have work, I would probably be on here way longer. But sadly, I must leave. Trust me, like, I do not want this to end. But
where do you work again?
I work at this restaurant. I work at the Krusty Krab.
I work at the Salty Spittoon.
Oh my gosh. I work wherever you want me to work. I'm a game designer. Oh my gosh.
This has taken a turn. This is
every single game that I've ever designed, I have to mention it, or any person who's ever worked with me, I have to mention it. Oh, I worked with them.
That's called filling air. I got it. Okay. What am I supposed to do?
This is how you fill air. That's how you fill air. You know, it's like the great big wolf and the three little piggies. And I huff, and I puff, and I boom.
You just like Mario Karted right off the ramp behind you.
I just recite the whole three little piggies. Once there was three little piggies, and one of them built a building of hay. The other made sticks. Okay.
My finger is going over the disconnect button. I don't know.
Oh no. Well, I've got well, Angelica, you're amazing, and thank you so much for talking to me.
Oh my god.
But I do have one more thing to say. One more thing.
Okay. Damn.
I knew she was gonna do that.
That's wild. I was like, oh no, she went away. That's wild.
That was not a cool way to. Actually, it was the coolest way for her to leave. That was great. Mm-hmm. That was so neat. You guys connected. That was very cool.
Yeah, she had good vibes. I was like, oh, we both get it.
Yeah. Let me see if I want to see if Karen. I don't think Karen came back. I think she's gone. Hopefully it wasn't the result of what she was talking about. So what else is going on with you, Angelica? Are you familiar with the musical Hamilton?
Stop. Yes, I am. And I have not watched it. Although maybe one day I'll watch it, but I just...
Do you get that? Do people sing that part to you, or
Yes.
like sing that? Yeah.
But it's like, if it was a certain type of group of people, like I wouldn't mind at all. But it's like, it's just the most snobby musical theater kids, and it's like the ones who have money. It's like just like, oh, haha, they're the ones who go, oh my god, like Angelica, and I'm like, it's just like, I don't want my name in your mouth. It's annoying.
My son loves it.
Yes, I imagine so.
Yeah, he's into it. It's weird that he's into that the sad song at the end. Like there's a couple songs he likes, but he really likes the song that has pathos, which I wouldn't expect. But whatever, if he wants to be a sad boy, that's fine by me. I'm encouraging him.
Sad boy hours.
Yeah.
Did he like Encanto?
He loved it. Dos Orgullitas? I'm not sure. 100% sure.
Wait, Hormiguitas.
Is there's a G in there somewhere.
Aruquitas.
Dos Oruguitas. Is this? I mean, that's how it's spelled. I'm not 100% sure how it's pronounced, but that's how it's spelled.
Slip through your knowledge when you're in America for too long. Like a lot of people, I always like testing how well they know Spanish by how do you say brick in Spanish, and a lot of them don't know it because it's one of those words that you just don't use in common parlance when you're with your parents or with
I don't know it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's ladrillo. But if you don't, or like shark in Spanish, it's
tiburón. That I know.
Tiburón, yeah.
But I know that I think I would have known that anyway, but that's because I lived on the water. So yeah, the word shark was. Yeah. I lived in Miami. It was great fun. So is there anything else you wanted to cover? Is there anything you wanted to talk about? I don't want
to. Well, is there anything percolating in your mind? Because, like.
Well, go ahead, finish on.
Oh no, there's like a couple of thoughts going on in my head, but it's like I don't even know how to expound on that or even how to like bring it up or like flesh it into a normal conversation. But at the same time, I'm also thinking that I'm just sitting, like I don't see anyone. I'm like, oh, I'm just talking, like FaceTiming you right now. I'm losing grasp with the idea that this is a live stream. I'm just like, oh snap. Like,
that's dangerous.
It's like, oh snap, like, yeah, like what do you want to talk about?
Well, but the thing is, what I would bring up normally would be like current events type stuff. You might have more interesting subjects to talk about. I was kind of like, oh, we might actually get a defense attorney on the Supreme Court finally. But that's kind of dry.
I mean, like when it comes to politics, like or like current events and stuff like that, all I've really been trying to do is trying to deconstruct the war propaganda that's going on, trying to like make us basically be like, yeah, let's go to war again. The way that they did it with like Iraq, where it's like, oh yeah, no, we need to do this. Like it's a matter of national patriotism, and everyone drunk the Kool-Aid, and they're like, we gotta do it for the country.
They have weapons of mass destruction.
Over, like,
yeah. Yeah.
So I've been trying to deconstruct that and see like, what is your end goal? Like, why? Like, what is the game here going on with us wanting to go to war so badly, when every time we get in anyone's country, we ruin it severely. But that's about the extent of it, honestly. Oh my god, stop. She came in clutch. Oh yeah, I was like, is that my girl Indigo? Oh my god.
Yeah, a great profile picture.
Oh,
look at that.
Like her little buns.
Oh, good night, Ava. Thank you for hanging out. Angelica, take a look at the painting Ophelia by John Everett. Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Is that the one where she's lying in the lake?
Like that.
Yeah. I know that one too. Yeah, it's very good. And the song Ophelia by the Lumineers, I don't know that. So.
I like that one. Yeah. Well, why is there so much Ophelia talk?
Why is it? Well, I think it was just those two. I don't. Angelica, Ophelia. I don't. Is there a connection there? I'm not
I mean,
aware.
like, I do love Ophelia. She's like my biggest fashion icon. She's just one of the women that like, in the concept of a woman that I'm obsessed with the most. So I'm like, why is everyone mentioning Ophelia so much when that's like basically my like icon?
They're catching on to that.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, do I have an Ophelia vibe? Is it coming through? That's amazing.
Let's hope you live longer.
I mean, we'll see.
She already did, I think, right? Didn't she die? I don't know how old she was.
Yeah, I don't know how old she was. I imagine she was probably like in her teens, like
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But well, I don't know. What was your favorite artistic movement, Sailor?
My favorite artistic movement?
Yes.
In any medium?
In any medium. Yeah, in any medium. We'll get that meta, I guess.
I'm gonna end up giving like a really lame answer because
let's narrow it down to painting then. Let's narrow it down to painting so that way it's like there's like a select number as opposed to just going completely broad like that.
Yeah, my interest in knowledge and visual arts is fairly limited, at least like for painting. So I would end up sticking with boring stuff. I like Whistler. I'm sorry?
Oh, Whistler's Mother?
I love Whistler's Mother. And what's that other painting that it's a woman in a field and she's like crawling through the field and there's a house in the distance.
Oh, yeah,
Caroline.
I love that one.
It's got a
I forgot what that one's called. Yeah, I forgot. But I love that one where it's like supposed to represent how like it was like, oh, she's so close, she's just laying in the field supposedly, but it definitely doesn't look like she's just laying in the field. And then like if you look closer at the painting, it's like her hand is going into paralysis. She's like having like I forgot, it wasn't a panic attack. I think she was having some sort of like physiological disease where it was making her like freeze up, but she was so far away from the house and it was like she was trying to reach an impossible length.
That's a very moving painting. Yeah. But as far as like actual movements go, I mean, I can only refer to like the big ones. And honestly, like I'm not that into painting, I suppose. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah. Music and performing arts, definitely, and literature and philosophy. Visual arts, not so much. You know what? I'm going to take it back. Albrecht Dürer, right? I will. And photography, like I'm a fan of like Dorothea Lange and the Dust Bowl series. But yeah, my like I can't talk very well about that stuff because I just am not that well versed in it. But you must be. I'm guessing. I'm half guessing, but I think I can kind of know. So what would yours be?
Oh, I loved the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. Like that one is my absolute favorite. Probably Art Nouveau. The entirety of La Belle Époque, but that's not an art movement. It was just like a cultural hub. But like everything that has to do with that.
I don't know what that last one was. What you said?
La Belle Époque.
No idea what that is.
That was basically the turn of the century during the 1900s. It was set in France, obviously, and that was basically the hub for all of these new art movements and this like very high esteem for like feminine romantic sort of swirls and stuff like that. Like it was just beautiful, and like the popular drink of the day was absinthe, and everyone.
Okay, is that spelled like Belle Epoque or Epic? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. I've read it and I know a little bit about it, but I didn't know how to pronounce it. So I thought you were saying something different. Okay, gotcha. Yes, I see Colorful Dreams. Just wrote it. Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, if I'd read it, I would have been like, "Oh, that thing." Right. I still wouldn't have known very much.
Yeah. But I was gonna actually ping pong the question back to you. What was your favorite music? Like, what was like what inspired you to love music so much? What was like the first band or artist? If you have one.
I do, but it's like it's Pablum. But honestly, it's not Pablum. It's what got me into music initially. So I do have so I had an older sister, right? So when we were growing up, she was cool and I was not, right? And so like I would kind of mirror what she did, and we had vinyl back then, but not ironically. Like it was like real vinyl. And I remember being very, very taken by Duran Duran, which then kind of led me down the path of like Duran Duran is like the gateway drug to like, Depeche Mode and Bauhaus and, all of that kind of gothy kind of stuff. But Duran Duran is what got me into it. And it's funny, like when I go back and listen to Duran Duran now, man, they were really good. Like they were really good. I don't think they were quite, I didn't think I...
Wow, wait, they were really good.
I thought they were very good. Like, I think that John Taylor is an amazing bass player. Like, you can go on YouTube and you hear like the isolated bass tracks, and he was thumping it. He was great. He drove that stuff forward.
Duran. I just like how you said it in a way where it was like Morty from Rick and Morty. You're just like, yeah, I love
they were really good. But then I got like, and then it was like Journey and Def Leppard and like those kinds of bands. And this, I'm talking about when I was like in second grade or something, right? Or third grade. Hall and Oates. I've been a Hall and Oates fan forever. Like they're probably like, I've listened to them since I was a child and will probably always listen to them to some extent, right? My first concert was Guns N' Roses opening for Motley Crue, or Def Leppard. Guns N' Roses were opening and got like booed off the stage. This was like right before they sort of took off. And then I got kind of sucked into that, not cesspool, but that kind of whirlpool of metal, and stayed there for probably a little too long before branching back out again. So there was a period there where it was like, if it wasn't, Slayer or Venom or Metallica or whatever it was, if it wasn't like the thrash of the day or the death metal of the day or whatever it was, I would not listen to it. And I lost a few years like doing that. I like looking back, I'm like, man, that was like blind allegiance because of clicks, right? And what you're told you're supposed to like and not like. And then, I think it took, I'm not sure what broke me back out. I think it was goth music that broke me back out of it again, was like The Cure, like getting into The Cure, I think. And from then on, it was like, okay, everything's fair game now. Folk singer songwriters. I was into Simon and Garfunkel when I was young too. So, I guess I was kind of all over the map. And then that sort of channeled into like the indie sort of progressive rock, and then the straight edge hardcore stuff coming out of DC, specifically like Discord Records and Fugazi and Minor Threat and stuff like that. So I sort of did this kind of circuitous route around music, but I did see Elliott Smith twice live, alive, breathing,
live and alive,
yeah. And
that's interesting.
How about you?
I love goth music the most. Like it's just like The Cure, Susie and the Banshees. I don't know if you could count. No, I guess not. But yeah, it's also great, and I like how it's having like a resurrection nowadays, where there's new goth music coming out, and it's amazing. I love it so much.
Can you tell me a couple? Are there like?
Well, there's Feline. That one I got into like 2 days ago, and I've been obsessed with her music ever since. I don't know if Zivdaliza counts as goth. I don't think she does.
What was the first one you said? Feline? Like
Feline.
Oh, like feline, but with spelled like lion.
Fee and then space and then lion.
Oh, okay. That's clever.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I like Sage Avalon, but I don't think that one's goth either. It's just all kind of gothy vibes. Lebanon Hanover, but that one's kind of cliche. What's that one Russian band? It's I
know very few of these names that you're throwing around. I don't know them.
It's just a lot. It's so good. But there's this one Russian band I really like. but everything's in freaking Russian. And I'm like, I can't remember the title names. So I always have to Google like goth Russian band until I find the album cover. And I'm like, it's this one. And then I listen to it.
And so, but that's sort of that's your milieu. Like it kind of like seems like that kind of music also fits in with the visual art style that you like, right? Like they sort of go the part and parcel sort of.
I think I have a very cohesive taste for aesthetics and visuals and sounds and stuff like that. Like I know what energy I like, and consequently everything that I like reflects it.
That makes perfect sense. I wish I knew more about visual art. It's definitely like a blank area of my like sort of cultural development where it just never really I just never really actively pursued it very much.
I never became proficient with knowing about the visual arts. I just like going to museums and like reading up on different books and like learning about the posts that I see on Instagram and learning about the painting and stuff like that. So I'm not like proficient in it either. I just enjoy it when I see it, and if something captivates me, then I learn about that specifically.
Do you paint?
I do, yeah. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes I just slap paint on and just have fun swirling it around.
Well, it's about the process, right?
Yeah. I just like the paint on the fingertips. It's like there's more freedom to it. It's fun. It's like you're actually connected, and it's really
so
nice.
You prefer to like literally paint with your hands?
I like that. But if I'm actually making like a painting that's supposed to be like more precise, then I can't.
But yeah, like that's especially if you have I guess maybe they don't have cadmium and cadmium blue anymore. I don't know. But you know how like a lot of painters die young. Well, of course you know this. I think you made a video about radium. Like people used to literally lick radium when painting watch faces, which is just, I guess you didn't know at the time, right? And so it makes you wonder, like, what do we not know now?
I'm always scared about that. So in hot Cheetos, I know this answer. In hot Cheetos, that's why I've been trying to quit hot Cheetos on top of that, because it's cheese. And I have quit it. Like I don't eat them anymore. But in hot Cheetos, there's citric acid, and citric acid.
Are you saying hot Cheetos?
Hot Cheetos.
Okay.
Hot Cheetos, just a bag of chips. But pretty much anything that has citric acid in it, it could be made with like lemons and limes, but you have to kind of trust if the product is high quality. If it's not, if it's like really cheap and like chips and stuff like that, it's made from black mold. Like a substitute for limes and lemons is citric acid lab made from black mold that's been mutated to taste that way. What the fuck? I know. I was like, what the hell? And then red dye 40 is insects.
Well, yeah,
so
that
red dye 40, that's just like crushed up bugs.
Yeah, and that's everywhere, right? Like it's hard to get away from that, especially.
I mean, it's fine. Like if you eat meat, like you should be fine with eating bugs. Like it's you're just eating life. Like there's no difference.
Right, I had a quick question for Pivy, because I know that people who know Bob Ross, right? Obviously, everyone in ASMR knows Bob Ross. He had a long pinky nail, right? And everyone was like, "Oh, that's a coke nail." But I'm wondering now that you say this, Pivy, maybe he actually used it for painting, or I don't know if this was a joke or not. I don't know.
No, I feel like that's legitimate. Like I feel like that has a reason to it. Like it's valid. And maybe Bob Ross used it for both. I mean, doesn't need to be either or. Right.
He could have done. He's not like really known for like fine detail work, right? So yeah, but he's also not known for being for having dilated pupils and seeming like he's very nervous. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he just liked having a long pinky nail. I don't know. Really bizarre facet of his character. It was never explained in the documentary. I'm just saying like someone should look into it.
Just someone verify this information. Like, why did he do it? No one actually knows the answer. It died with Bob Ross. Bob Ross was the only one who knew the answer to why he grew his pinky nail so long, and it died with him.
Colorful doesn't think it had anything to do with painting at all.
I'm like, wait a minute, but he wasn't a finger painter though. Why would he even use his pinkies?
He used like a toothbrush. I don't know. Maybe he would. Extension for piano playing. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Or guitar. No, that would have to be the whole
used to open
hand.
the envelopes.
Yeah. You could break wax seals with it.
Exactly. People just you're just jumping right into the gutter. It's like you gotta give him some slack. It's Bob Ross. He earned your trust.
But he ripped off William Alexander though, right? That's the sort of.
Who is William Alexander?
Oh no.
You don't know about the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, but I'm expected to know
They're the
about
same.
William Alexander.
It's like the same. Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, William Alexander. They're on the same level. William Alexander was the first proponent of the wet on wet technique, which Bob Ross then, and Bob Ross was a student of William Alexander's and learned how to paint like him. And then his first, like if you watch like early Bob Ross, he actually uses William Alexander's paints. Like he uses those paints. And then like after a season, he made his own version of the paint. So like he used to use liquid white because that was William Alexander's paint. And then when he developed his own line of paints, he started using magic white or whatever. It might have been the other way around. But you get what I'm saying. He usurped William Alexander's place in the pantheon of mediocre landscape painters who can paint like really quickly on TV. And who probably
been done like 20,000 times throughout history. It's just what is. The student somehow usurps the master and takes credit historically for everything that someone else, who is now a footnote, taught them.
And often it's men taking that credit from women, right? That is very common.
Yeah. Like, what was the lady who ended up discovering the double helix?
Yeah, that's exactly who I was thinking of. But then Watson and Crick came into. I don't remember her name because history succeeded in removing
Franklin.
it.
Edith Franklin, something like that.
Was it?
I think so.
That very well could be it, but I fell victim to the.
Susan Montag very well could be it.
Could be any name at all, but I'll just be like, oh yeah, Watson and Crick, definitely.
Yeah, that's those two.
Yeah. So but you might want to look into it because I only say this because I don't know if you enjoy watching Bob Ross, but William Alexander, I think, is actually more enjoyable to watch than Bob Ross because he is Austrian. He has a very thick Austrian accent.
Oh,
and
love accents.
Yes, and it's and he's a little more. He's not as calm, but he is very like sedating in his own way, and also like he's just a better painter. Like. You know how Bob Ross paintings, they're all the same. It's like, here's the layer of mountain, the layer of water, the layer of hills, the layer of trees, and then the one big tree, the bravery test or whatever he always calls it, right? William Alexander will like sometimes just paint like close up of bark, right? Like you don't see Bob Ross doing that. It's always these kind of mix and match elements that he just kind of assembles.
Because I like that. It's like an expansion pack. It's like what was actually supposed to be detailed with a higher skill. I'll look into that. The last time I watched Bob Ross was when I was in middle school, and I remember I was hypnotized by it, but I would also always fall asleep, and so I couldn't appreciate any of the details he was putting on. I just know that it ended with water, mountain, and foreground.
He would go in order from back to front, like he was creating like just these parallax sheets of perspective layers. Yeah. Well, if you haven't watched Bob Ross since middle school, I'm guessing you're not that. Did you ever do a Bob Ross role play? Because everybody has, right? No?
I did not. No, that's why I was like 27 Bob Ross videos came around.
Yeah.
And I just did not want to wear that wig. I was like, I can't stomach that wig. I'm not doing it.
My favorite thing about those is like differentiating the ones from people who actually do paintings and the people who don't, right? Mm-hmm. And I just feel like, it's a little more genuine if you actually did the painting. Even if it's not very good, I respect the effort. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I like when I watch like artist role plays or whatever, if they actually do paint something or something like just legible, I guess. Because I don't. I'm like, I mean, sometimes I do. I make a cartoon. But when it comes to actual intricate painting, I've tried it. It's impossible. I can't do it.
Or they
It's
paint
just like-
something, they say they're painting one thing and they actually are just painting like some abstract thing, whatever. Right? You just need the brush sounds, right? That's what's really important there.
Just a doodle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Angelica, my voice is shot.
Yeah, same. I'm like, the edible has been rising me or raising me. It's one of those.
Are you like coming? Well, no, that shit lasts forever, doesn't it? Like you're gonna be edibled for
like the next 2 hours. I would say it's gonna be a nice little gentle evening.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, thank you for calling. I think I'm probably just gonna end the stream unless there's something else you wanted to talk about.
No, I'm good. Let's all just retire back to our slumbers.
This was fun, interesting,
Very fun.
and
It was a wild ride.
And I do apologize, Pivy. I don't think we didn't mean to like offend you. We're just sort of expressing these ideas that, you know, some people. I understand we're not in it, right? Like I get that. So yeah, I apologize for that. But yeah, obviously, Angelica, welcome anytime. I found it really weird that you knew Indigo's name. That was.
I watched her, like, I've been watching the episodes, and like, honestly, she was the best. Like, I was like, I love her personality.
She does have a really good personality. She brings the fun every time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna well, here's what I gotta do. I gotta bring in the. Do you want to stick around while I bring in the exit music?
Sure.
Okay. So we didn't talk much about the new Supreme Court justice that's being nominated, but that's fine. That's gonna be a while until it happens anyway. But I do think I barely have that up and it's really, really loud. But I do think it's interesting. Like, we haven't had a defense attorney on the Supreme Court for 30 years. There's a reason for that. And it'll be nice to have somebody who actually thinks about the law from the perspective of those who get unjustly persecuted by the law, and not somebody who's just trying to make money off of being an efficient prosecutor to become a state prosecutor and maybe like a state Supreme Court prosecutor, which seems to be like the career path for Supreme Court justices generally. And also person of color and a woman. I don't want to downplay that either, but for me, like, defense attorney is like, that's the coolest part. That's the cherry on top. So yeah, I thank you again, Angelica, for coming on. And
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. And thanks to Indigo, and thanks to Karan. I'm still gonna call Karan. And I'll see you all next week, probably next week. Yeah.
Are you talking to me?
Oh no, I meant me. But like I said, I was waiting for you to wave so we could both wave goodnight.
I'm so done.
All right. Good night, everybody, and thanks again, Angelica. All right.
Bye.
Bye.